everybody, welcome to the Underwater Photography Show. I'm Matthew Sullivan.
And I'm Alex Mustard.
And I know we haven't done an image-focused one in a while, but today we're going to go over my favorite images from UPY 2025. These aren't necessarily category winners. I don't actually know if there's any category. There's one category winner in here, but these are the ones that I personally liked the best. So we're going to go through those. I'll explain why, and then get Alex's comments too, I suppose.
Yeah, and it's just nice to have a look at more of the images. I think when we judge UPY, I certainly always judge it as we're creating a collection, and we expect the majority of underwater photographers to look at all the pictures. So, you know, it is, you know, anything that we've put in there is put in for a reason. And as I've said before, in UPY, we try and award pictures that judges love rather than ones that we all agree on as being a good shot.
Yeah.
And so there are pictures in the UPY collection every year that I'm a bit about, and there are pictures that I absolutely love, but the other judges were a bit about. So yeah, I always feel it's quite a diverse collection as a result of all of that. So shall I pull the first one up?
Let's do it.
Okay. Do you want? This is a picture by James Lynott of a squat lobster taken up in Scotland. These squat lobsters are normally very secretive, and this one was unusually out on a night dive. And James got this shot, was amazed by its its fluorescence, and then immediately after the shot, I think it ran away. So he never got the chance to do another shot.
Well, he nailed it with the first one. He did a Photographer of the Week feature for Dive Photo Guide and had a lot of cool fluorescent pictures in there. And to be perfectly honest, fluorescence is not generally something that interests me all that much. But this is a really cool animal, and the stark contrast between the animal fluorescing and the black, which he told me was just the bottom, works really, really well. It almost looks like a studio shot. So when you find out that it isn't, it makes it even cooler. It also is cool because I have no idea how to do the fluorescent things. I know you need all sorts of filters and stuff like that. But James is a kind of a master at this image now. And he has some really cool anemones and crabs and all sorts of cool things that fluoresce up in Scotland. And I'm sure there's plenty of stuff here that does it, but I haven't done a deep dive into that yet. But a really cool animal and a really cool picture.
Yeah, no, yeah, I agree. I think it's very, very striking. It's the first shot. This is in a British category. You know, there's not tremendous biodiversity in the British underwater environment. So as a result, we do get a lot of the same subjects every year. So it's really exciting to see a subject we haven't seen before. And this shot is fantastic. I think with a little bit more work on the processing, I think James could have actually done even better with this shot. I think it looks significantly better if it's rotated around into a vertical. Mm-hmm. And I also think that his processing, he was basically it's pretty much straight from camera. And I think he could have, particularly the legs and the claws, could have done with just a little bit more adjustment on them to give them a real pop. And it's also not completely straight in the picture. It's slightly, and again, just a very small rotated crop would really improve this shot. It's just ever so slightly, so up and down, little crop. Yeah. When we were judging it, I just went, look at that. And the other judges were like, oh, yeah, that would have won. But we can't. We have to undo it all. But, I just, I think it was after we were judging. But I was just like, what about this? And, yeah, so, but, yeah, it is a stunning shot and very original.
Yep.
Right. Moving on to our next one, which is from the behavior category. And it's a picture by Henley Spears of a couple of blue dragon nudibranchs feeding on a colonial jellyfish.
Yeah. So really cool to get, those nudibranchs by themselves are really cool. Getting two of them together is really cool. Getting two of them eating is really, really cool. But the thing that impressed me most about this picture, to be honest, is that he got the surface completely still. And having shot up at the surface, not an insignificant amount, that's very hard to do. And I don't know, he obviously used some sort of wide optic to get the curvature of the...
Yeah, I think WACP, but I'm not sure.
So that might have made it a bit easier because you could be a bit further away. But I love the contrast between the dark blue and the light blue, and how the nudibranchs and the jellyfish kind of are right in the middle of that. And
I always thought it looks like a blue sun.
It does
in
look
the
a
sky.
Little bit, yeah. I've We have, I don't know, we don't have those here. I've seen the man of war fish, which are really cool, and they're kind of a pain to try to photograph. So I imagine if this is moving, it's probably difficult as well. So really, really nicely done to pull this off so cleanly, and not necessarily the easiest environment to shoot. Again, I don't know where this was, but
I presume he's done a lot of trips in the East Pacific this year, so I suspect it was one of those. They are circumtropical species. I've seen these jellies in Philippines actually,
okay.
but I've never seen the nudies. But when these things are common, they often bloom in big numbers, and they can be really common. Like I remember when I lived in Sardinia, we had like a week where we had all these by the wind sailor jellyfish blowing into shore, and it stank at the beaches because there were so many of them had blown into the island. Anyway, this is also one of my favourites from the contest. And actually, I wrote the judge's comment for this one and wrote that in the judge's comment. I think in terms of its success, though, it's in the behaviour category, and I'm not convinced there's enough action going on here, and also that the picture is really understandable to the public for it to have finished higher. And I think it's a, there's an element, it's not that every picture has to be obvious to the public, but it's pretty hard to work this out if you're not familiar with what these things might be. Yeah. And I think that might have influenced some of the other judges, both that and the fact that there isn't the action in the shot to really say behavior, even though there is, of course, behavior going on, but it's not, the picture's more about the scene than the behavior.
Yeah.
So, one of those pictures that, I think maybe even in the wide angle category might have done better than it did in the behavior category.
Really cool for this.
Another picture from the behavior category is this shot by Richard Barnden, a previous underwater photographer of the year overall winner, of a grey reef shark hunting down a pack of spawning moorish idols.
Yeah, so when I first looked at that, when I first was scrolling through all the images, I was like, why is this one in here? And then the second pass is when I noticed the shark, and I was like, oh, that's cool. It's super stealthy. It's intimidating. And it's that the school is open just enough to see the shark coming through, which I think, because if those fish were a little bit closer together on the back part of the school there, you wouldn't really see the shark.
Yeah.
So a combination probably of timing, luck, skill, all of that coming together for that school to open just like that. I would love to see if there's some other pictures from this series. But I've never seen Moorish idols bunched together like that. I've never seen them off of a reef. And then it looks like they picked the wrong place at the wrong time to go do their little, maybe, I guess they might be spawning.
Yeah, it's spawning. Yeah. In the BBC film series Asia, which I'm sure has been, distributed in the States as well, there was a big sequence on this filmed, and I think cool. that Richard was assisting on that sequence.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, this is really cool. It's a behavior I've not seen before. Like I said, I like the stealth and sneakiness of the shark in there, which you don't actually necessarily see the first pass.
Yeah, I think that this picture could have been cropped a little tighter. I love the way that the dorsal fins of the Moorish idols stream behind them. But I think there's a, obviously the content of this is in the middle. It's important to show that they're away from the reef, and you need some blue. But I would, so I wouldn't crop it like right around them. But I think if you just tightened up the crop on this, and I think a little bit more color correction. So the Moorish idols, they're a little bit bluey. And I think that a bit more color correction, they'd really pop out of that background. And I think that would increase the impact of the shot. Obviously, when we judge UPY, we saw the pictures multiple times and we were well aware of the shark and that side of things, which is why we really like the shot. But I think that this shot could have been a little bit more obvious to the viewer. But I would say that I did, this is another one from the behavior category. And I think that category was kind of quite even all the way through it. It wasn't a category where the top of the category was way better than the bottom. It was kind of everything was at quite a similar level. Yeah. And it was very much a category on a different day. They could have easily been rearranged in a different order, I think, of the judging. Okay, next up is Patrick Webster's photo of the sea lion in the kelp forest from the Falkland Islands.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just, I love a good portrait. This guy is adorable. And the fact he has the whole kelp forest behind him is really cool. Great eye contact. You can see the whiskers and that cute little nose. And I actually like the fact that it's from somewhere that you don't see a lot of pictures taken. I know Pat does a lot. He's been in Greenland, Antarctica, Falklands, all that kind of stuff. So seeing compelling underwater images from those places um, gives them a little extra oomph to me. And then just, perfectly framed. It's just a really cool, really cute portrait.
Yeah, I would say that the portrait category was really, really strong all the way through it, actually. All the top 10 are fantastic images. It's always one of the strongest categories in UPY. Last year, it was the most entered category as well. I think this year, macro was the most entered. I can't remember now. But it's always macro, wide angle, and portrait are always the three big categories in terms of entrant numbers. But this year in particular, portrait is just so strong from 1 to 10 and really diverse as well. So a really, really strong category. This is definitely a shot that, another year, another mix could easily have been a category winner. It just, there was just some, extraordinary stuff entered in this particular category. But yeah, very, very strong picture. We chose this picture to be the cover of our yearbook, which shows, what we thought of this picture. It's, one of our main calling cards from the competition is the yearbook each year. So we never choose the overall winner for the front of the yearbook, but we always choose something else that we think really is special from the contest this year. So yeah, I love this picture too. It's just a fantastic expression as well.
Yeah.
And then you marry that up with an amazing background, and it's really a quality shot. We obviously didn't know it was from the Falklands when judging.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I mean, but it is nice that it comes from somewhere different. Okay, this is also from the portrait category, and I think this was, only commended in the portrait category.
Yeah. So this is the kind of thing where you could imagine you've just gotten in the water and it was hidden by the wave and it comes out right at you. And I've jumped, not with Makos, but I've jumped into the water sometimes when the shark you didn't even see it and just comes out of nowhere and it comes right past you. Obviously it's sad that it has the scar on the side of its face, which is probably from a fishing hook or something like that. But it gives it a Joker aesthetic.
It does kind of suit him, doesn't it?
Yeah, which makes him even gnarlier because you already have the big teeth sticking out, that huge dark eye. And I love the wave hiding. Like it looks like you're just peeking under the waves. I love the wave hiding the rest of the shark, and you just see that gnarly face. And Makos are just an awesome animal. So it's an intimidating picture. It's graphic, and just perfectly composed, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's these are your favourites from the competition, but I have to say that we've in terms of these, a lot of these would be in some of my favourites as well. Yeah, just a really, really strong image. Very deserving to be awarded in UPY and in that portrait category, which like I said, is just a humdinger from top to bottom.
Yeah, and it's rare these days that a shark picture gets me where I'll stop and look at it for a while, but this one got me. Just a really cool picture.
Okay, into the coral reefs category, which was our new category in UPY. It was the least entered of our international categories, and I think that was just because lots of people weren't quite sure what we were looking for in the first year. But actually, it was kind of very much as long as it's on the theme of coral reefs, it doesn't have to be a big scenic wide angle. It can be a nice, intimate, close, revealing story like this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is a slender filefish in amongst porous sea rods on a Caribbean reef.
Yeah, so my buddy Sage, I've liked this picture since he first showed it to me. I don't know how long ago. And as we've discussed on this show ad nauseum, I love a good small and frame macro. It's something that I work on myself, and it's much harder to get than you might think. So this one's done really, really nicely. The graphic lines of the Gorgonian and then the filefish right perfectly in between, a little gap in there.
And they don't stay still, these slender filefish.
No, they don't. They're always doing this and drifting. Yeah. And then to light it properly as well is really nice because you have Gorgonians that are closer than the fish, so to not blow those out and get the fish in the background is just really, really nice. And I'm sure I've mentioned it, but because I struggle to see colors, images that are graphic do a lot for me. And this one, with all the shapes and the lines, works really nicely.
Yeah, no, it's quality photography,
Yeah.
taking the sort of subject matter that a lot of people would just not be interested in, and producing something really special from it. So very,
Yeah.
very nice. Okay, next up is Mike's picture of this meeting with the giant.
So
It's sorry, it's a bit small on our screen, but we're in a 16:9 format, so
yeah.
vertical picture is always a bit of a challenge for us.
I would like this without the diver. Sperm whales have a special place in my heart, mostly because I've spent 10 days with our mutual friend Carrie Wilk trying to find them, and we failed pretty miserably. Um, so I love this moment because the whale just looks like it's kissing its reflection, and then you have the diver in there to provide scale, and you get an idea of just how big these sperm whales can be. And then the lines from the upside down sun rays are really nice also. I wish this is one that I could see, blown up on a wall. I think it would be hugely impactful instead of a little screen. But a beautiful picture, beautiful moment, and an animal that I hope to get to share space with someday.
Yeah, no, and I agree with all of that. And I've been fortunate enough to see it blown up big.
Yeah,
And it is an amazing picture. I love the pose of the whale, like you say. It's so delicately close to the surface.
yeah,
You can see its dexterity of movement, which I think is really, really powerful. Personally, I really like the person in the picture.
yeah,
I don't always like people in the whale shots, but I think in this case here, I think it just shows how huge, and I presume this is a big male sperm whale. It shows how huge the whale is.
yeah,
And what's amazing about this shot is when you zoom into it, there's incredible detail in it. You really can see, every detail in that person. And then you come out and see this huge whale. And so I really like those aspects of the shot. And it seems like the diver is, amazed, but they're not pressuring the whale. The whale looks super chilled out
yeah,
with the situation. So we like that dynamic in the picture.
yeah. It's a
Um,
peaceful moment between
yeah.
whale and human.
Okay. I've lost count of where we are. Oh, we okay. We've got a couple to go. So this one was in our other video
Yeah. So
of the UPY. So
yeah, we've
you
discussed
still
this
like
one.
it then?
We've discussed this one. This is my friend Brian's. If you want to hear all of my thoughts on this, listen to our previous UPY category winners episode. But I'll just touch on it again here. Gar, I love Gar. They're one of my favorite local subjects here in Florida. I love this environment, the sun rays coming through, the light coming through the fins on the fish, and being able to see up into the cypress dome above it. All of it works really, really nicely for me.
And this one, he said, it's very much Everglades rather than a spring.
Yes, this is Everglades environment.
Yeah.
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 Which in the
Very cool.
Everglades, everyone thinks of the park. The Everglades is enormous. It stretches the whole southern part of the state. But this is that type of cypress dome and habitat from the Everglades area.
I think it's an amazing image.
Yeah.
I also love the fact it's taken on a GoPro,
Yeah.
because I think it's such an incredible advert for underwater photography, saying you can take amazing pictures like this with relatively straightforward, simple gear that maybe quite a few of you already own.
Um,
And
I hope Brian's okay with me saying this. He said he was a bit frustrated that he captured this on a GoPro and hasn't been able to recreate something quite as nice on his real camera. He's posted some cool GAR pictures recently from his, I think he shoots an R7. But I thought that was amusing because it's similar to, I've said this often, where you take a picture with your phone and then try to take the same picture with your camera and you just can't get it to look quite right. So I empathize with him, but he nailed this one, and it's a worthy category winner, I think.
yeah, and we're planning in UPY for next year to have a dedicated phone category, because I think we feel that compacts are, as a thing, are a little bit dropping out of the market.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people out there diving with phones and things. And UPY is about celebrating the very best in underwater photography. I think that we also want to promote and use the platform of UPY to get more people into the hobby. And I think with the demise of the good, cheap compact, I know there are still good compacts out there, but they're not cheap, a lot of them. Whereas, 10 years ago, there were all these very cheap plastic housings that were really good. and some really cheap and good compact cameras. And everything's kind of gone up market in the compact world.
Yeah.
And we feel that, phones, okay, they're expensive, but most people have already got one.
Yeah.
And being able to put your normal phone, which is the camera that you take by far the most pictures with during the year, in a housing, or even some phones are waterproof, it really opens up underwater photography to more people. And we think that the platform of UPY is a great way of celebrating and getting more people into our hobby. So we feel that's kind of something that we should be doing for the community is promoting phone photography within the UPY platform.
Cool.
But what we want is we actually want lots of good photographers to get housings for their phone and show what can be done.
Yeah.
It's not a category where we want, someone on their first dive. I mean, maybe they get an amazing picture and they win, but we actually want really good photographers showing what phones are capable of in underwater photography rather than, and so we hope that a lot of our regular winners try and add to their UPY award numbers by shooting phones as well. Okay, moving on now to this picture by Enrico of a giant frogfish.
So couldn't have one of these without a frogfish in there, and especially with a close focus, wide angle frogfish. I think of all the underwater subjects, frogfish might be the most conducive to this style of photography, because they have such a weird shape, and being able to overemphasize that just makes it even more impactful. I like the expression on this guy. He looks kind of shocked that he's been spotted. And then obviously having the fish and the sunball in the background works really nicely. And I do like the focused light on just the frogfish. So your eye goes there first, then to the background with the sun and the fish in it. It's a really, really nicely done. And you get a little bit of rim light on the fish as well, which is cool.
Yeah, he's got a kind of a purple, but I think it's nicely judged. And I think within an underwater photography context, an underwater photography competition context, having a bit of wackiness in the, a bit of, creativity, for want of a better word, in the shot is always a good thing. And it's why Enrico has been so successful in UPY down the years, because, he's always pushing these boundaries. He's always adding that extra level to his shots that just make them kind of irresistible as judges. It's a quality image, and you can see he's put the extra effort in as well.
Is the rim light purple?
Yeah, it's so the frogfish is kind of a pinky grey, and then the rim light is kind of a richer, more saturated purple.
Interesting. I can't tell. I just thought it was
not that you know what pinky grey looks like.
No, I get it all looks gray and white to me.
Yeah.
So the last one is Wei Wei Zhang, and this is just an awesome natural history image to me.
It's quality, isn't it?
Yeah, I love the composition. I love the fact that it's small in frame. And I think my favorite part of this is that the shrimp is going the opposite direction from the majority of the polyps in the image. So he's horizontal, most of them are vertical. And even though he's well hidden in the shot, he also stands out, if for no other reason, because he's facing the wrong direction, which for the picture is the right direction. It's a simple picture too. It's flat lighting, but it works so nicely.
Yeah, no, I think it's very strong, very original image. I've not seen, although I think if most of us were shown the subject, we might end up with a shot like this. I've never seen this shot before.
Yeah.
So that I really like that. I think I wrote the caption for this and again commented it was a real favorite of mine.
Yeah, I think the instinct of a lot of people might be to go tight on the shrimp if they were shown this.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Whereas I think backing off a little bit is really what makes this compelling. And obviously the shrimp is a cool animal, but as a picture, backing off I think worked really, really nicely.
Yeah, it's really, really nice shot, really special.
Yeah.
Right, I think that's our lot. So let me bring us back onto full screen. And with that, thank you for watching another episode of the Underwater Photography Show. I hope you enjoyed us diving back into the UPY collection and showing you some more stunning images. So thanks for watching. We'll be back again soon.